Tehran, a city of nearly 10 million people, has now reached a breaking point that experts have been warning about for decades. The capital of Iran has officially entered what scientists call zero day, the moment when the taps run dry, the reservoirs empty out, and the basic promise of running water no longer exists. This is the story of how one of the world's largest cities found itself running out of its most essential resource. And tonight, the truth is far more terrifying than most people realize. Picture this. It's early morning in northern Tehran. People wake up expecting a normal day. They walk to the kitchen, turn the tap, and wait. But instead of water, there's just a hollow gurgling sound. A few seconds later, silence. Across the city, the same thing is happening. Faucets stop, pumps shut off. Pressure tanks empty. The entire water grid, built to serve millions, has finally collapsed under years of drought, mismanagement, and political denial. The capital of Iran has run out of water. Panic begins instantly. You see, most people don't realize how much their daily life depends on water until it disappears. But in Tehran, this wasn't just a supply cut. It wasn't a temporary shutoff. This was a system failure. Right now, millions of people are desperately trying to understand the scale of the catastrophe unfolding around them. Supermarkets are the first to feel the pressure. Within hours, shelves are wiped clean. Bottled water, juices, sodas, anything liquid, gone. People stand in lines stretching around blocks, hoping to buy even a single bottle. But there's nothing left. Delivery trucks can't keep up with the demand, and even if they could, there's no guarantee supplies will keep coming into a city where panic has already begun. As word spreads, Tehran's hospitals enter their own emergency mode. Surgeons postpone operations because they can't guarantee sterile conditions. Dialysis machines struggle. Intensive care units ration every drop. Nurses scramble to boil whatever water they can find using backup generators, because the city's electrical grid is also under stress from failing water-cooled systems. It's a medical nightmare, and administrators warn that if water doesn't return soon, the consequences could be deadly. Outside, chaos grows. People begin marching toward emergency distribution points, makeshift stations set up by local authorities using tanker trucks. But these trucks are nowhere near enough to serve millions. Within minutes, crowds swell into thousands. Parents carry empty bottles, children cry, elderly residents faint from heat and dehydration. Fights break out as people push, shove, and struggle to get close to the trucks. Police try to calm the situation, but every moment the tension rises. Tehran is a city in crisis, and the government knows it. Behind the scenes, Iran's leadership convenes an emergency national meeting. For years, warnings from hydrologists and environmental scientists had been ignored. They said Lake Lar and Latian reservoirs were drying out. They reported declining rainfall. They published data showing aquifers collapsing from overuse. But instead of addressing the signs, the government dismissed them, calling them exaggerations, foreign propaganda, or opposition narratives. But now, sitting inside a sealed conference room beneath the city, government ministers face the unfiltered truth. Tehran has reached zero day, and there's no quick fix. They review the numbers, reservoirs, empty dams below 10%. Aquifers dangerously depleted, wells producing only mud, and the city's main water pipelines already weakened, now risk cracking under air pressure instead of water flow. Faced with disaster, officials consider their options. Evacuation, impossible. Where would 10 million people go? Import water, how? By trucks, by rail, by emergency flights. Even if that were possible, it wouldn't solve the underlying problem. The city no longer has water to distribute, even if supplies arrive. And then there is the political dimension. Tehran is the heart of the country, its economic center, its political core, its symbolic capital. A water collapse here is not just a crisis. It is a national nightmare. Meanwhile, the situation on the streets worsens. As temperatures rise, dehydration becomes the number one threat. People living in high-rise apartments lose water faster than those on lower floors because pumps fail without pressure. Rooftop tanks run dry. Families start collecting rainwater, even though the skies are clear and dry. Some dig into old wells, hoping for underground water, but most of these wells haven't produced clean water in years. Contaminated and unsafe, drinking from them could cause deadly illness, yet in moments of desperation, risk becomes irrelevant. Video clips begin flooding social media, children crying as their parents fill pots with muddy water, elderly residents fainting in the sun, customers storming markets that have already run out of supplies. Hashtags like #Tehran0Day and #Iran water crisis trend across platforms. International news channels pick up the story. Environmental experts warn that Tehran may become the first modern megacity to face a permanent water collapse. Inside Tehran's neighborhoods, the crisis reshapes daily life. Restaurants close. Bakeries shut down. Bread cannot be made without water. Schools announce emergency closures. Offices ask employees to work from home, but even that becomes difficult as electricity fluctuations increase. The city's infrastructure is failing one layer at a time, like a domino chain collapsing in slow motion. At night, the real fear begins. Families fill bathtubs with whatever water they can find. Some flee to relatives in smaller towns. Others sit awake, listening for announcements from the government. Rumors spread that the armed forces may take control of the distribution system, that martial law may be declared, that Tehran may face partial evacuation. Tension grips the city like a vice, but perhaps the most alarming scenes emerge from the city's outskirts. Farmers living near Tehran, already struggling for years, now find themselves overrun by desperate urban residents. People break into farms searching for working wells. Even livestock water supplies are drained. Arguments escalate into confrontations, and police forces are stretched thin across districts, trying to maintain order in an increasingly unstable situation. Inside government circles, a new fear arises: social unrest. With food supplies threatened, electricity unstable, and water nearly gone, how long will it take before panic transforms into full-scale revolt? Officials debate deploying the Revolutionary Guard to maintain order, but they fear that militarizing water distribution might escalate tensions further. Meanwhile, engineers scramble to find emergency technical solutions. They attempt to pump water from deeper aquifers, but the water is too salty and contaminated. They consider redirecting water from agricultural zones, but that could collapse food production for the entire region. They even explore rationing plans, but there is nothing left to ration. The crisis forces Iran to confront a painful truth. Years of overuse, failing dams, climate change, and political mismanagement have pushed the capital to the edge. At this point, international aid organizations step forward. The United Nations warns that Tehran could face a humanitarian disaster on an unprecedented scale. Neighboring countries express concern, but political tensions limit cooperation. Some nations offer support, but logistics make it nearly impossible to deliver enough water for millions. As 0 Day continues, daily life becomes a struggle for survival. People begin building makeshift filtration systems. Buckets replace showers, toilets stop working, sanitation collapses, trash piles up. The risk of disease grows rapidly, especially in densely populated districts. Yet, amid chaos, moments of humanity appear. Communities share water. Volunteers organize distribution lines. Mosques and community centers open their doors as hydration shelters. People who have a little give to those who have none. But the underlying desperation never disappears. By the end of the first week, Tehran's population faces a stark reality. This crisis could last weeks or even months. And if no solution is found, millions may be forced to migrate. Experts warn that if Tehran's water grid is not restored quickly, the city could become partially uninhabitable. And so, the world watches. A capital city on the brink. A population of 10 million struggling to survive. A government fighting against time, nature, and its own past decisions. Tehran has run out of water. And Zero Day is just the beginning. The real question now is not how this happened, but what comes next. Will solutions arrive in time? Will the city stabilize? Or will Tehran become the first major metropolis to collapse under water scarcity? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear. The world must learn from this disaster, because what is happening in Tehran today may be a warning of what could happen to other cities tomorrow.